You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What is going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. This is my second live of today. Gonna be giving you guys an instant reaction to the 49ers win against the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. Let's just get right into it because it is definitely a good one. Before the game started, we found out that Eric Armstead, which wasn't a surprise at all, was going to be out, as well as Samson Ebukam. I was a little surprised about Samson Ebukam, and maybe you could say a little bit worried, but we also got official word that Kyler Murray was going to be out for this game. Defensive tackle T.Y. McGill was elevated from the practice squad to play in tonight's game, and I believe he even made a play in this one, so definitely made an impact. What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Niner gang? Yes, we're in a very good mood tonight because the 49ers absolutely dismantled the Cardinals on prime time. We love to see it. This was an interesting game, and there was a lot riding on this game. The 49ers, in particular, Kyle Shanahan, his record going into this game was 48-48 as 49ers head coach, okay? 48-48, his all-time record as head coach with the team, including the playoffs. And he's never had a winning record as head coach of the 49ers. And so now finally he has a 49-48 record. So that is his first winning record as head coach of the 49ers. All-time record, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, Kyle Shanahan got that monkey off of his back. But let's talk about the game specifically. It started raining right before kickoff. I didn't even know there was any chance of rain in this one, so I was a little worried about that. I don't know who put a hex or some kind of spell on the 49ers that said it's going to rain like in 3 games this season, but that's pretty crazy to me. But anyway, it didn't make a big difference in this one. It seemed like it kind of tapered off sometime in the first half, so it wasn't a big deal. I was just like, what? It's seriously raining? Did not know that was in the forecast. But the Cardinals started the game on offense, and the pass rush was already getting to Colt McCoy early in the game, I felt like, and there was a quick 3-and-out for the Cardinals offense, for the defense, really. And so the drive was highlighted by a Deommodore Lenoir tackle for loss on Rondale Moore on the very first play that really set up that drive for them. So they were able to get off the field very quickly, and that's a good thing because with that altitude, you definitely don't want to spend too much time out there on the field. Then on the 49ers' first drive, on 2nd and 8, Jimmy threw it into some traffic. He was targeting George Kittle, just a smudge behind him. So that went incomplete. And then on 3rd and 8, Garoppolo goes deep to Juwan Jennings, but that was incomplete as well. Jennings looked to have tripped over his own feet. Jennings was trying to get a, PI call on that one, but I don't know. I know some people said that it looked like the defender pushed Jennings like on his back. So I don't know about that. I'd have to take another look at that one. But from what I saw, it looked like he just tripped. So I'm okay with the no call there. The offense went 3-and-out then. So they're trading off 3-and-outs to start the game. Then on the Cardinals' second drive, it was 3rd and 5. DeAndre Hopkins, he found a soft spot, and McCoy was able to find him for a quick first down. And there was a lot of that in this game. DeAndre Hopkins, of course, as I mentioned in one of my preview episodes, he was going to get a ton of targets in this one, and he definitely did. He was able to generate a lot of first downs for the Cardinals offense. And so they were moving the ball pretty well on their second drive. Dre Greenlaw and Charvarius Ward had to step off the field on 3rd and 8, as I would assume it was the altitude. They were gassed and dealing with the effects of the high altitude. So right off the bat, we're seeing the impact of, the offense not really being able to stay on the field on that first drive. So the defense had to, spend a lot of time there. And obviously with the Cardinals driving, they were feeling the effects for sure of the high altitude. But the defense was able to hold the Cardinals off, bend don't break, and they held the Cardinals to a field goal. And so that was a great ending to that drive for the 49ers defense. Then on the 49ers following drive on 3rd and 2, the 49ers try and end around for Debo, but it goes for a loss. And Kittle also committed a hold on JJ Watt. So that kind of put the 49ers behind on that one. And so they were forced to punt. Mitch Wishnowsky, who, by the way, had a great game punting on this one, he had a great punt and an even better effort by Samuel Womack to keep the ball from bouncing into the end zone and forcing the Cardinals to start their drive at their own 4-yard line. So credit to special teams today. I thought they did really well. So on that Cardinals drive where they had to start at the 4-yard line, Rondell Moore, we found out, was questionable to return. He suffered a groin injury, I would assume, in the previous Cardinals drive. And so they were already kind of short on receivers because Hollywood Brown he didn't get activated for this game. So pretty much all they had was DeAndre Hopkins and Greg Dortch, who got some extra opportunities in this one, and AJ Green. But you know what I mean. A lot of injuries to the top of their wide receiver group. On 3rd and 1, James Conner leapt over the line and he was able to get a first down. Then another 3rd down, 3rd and 3. Bosa with the pursuit and Drake Jackson. I don't know if a lot of people noticed this, but I did because there was a play right before that where Drake Jackson got his hands up and I tweeted he's gonna tip one of those. I could just feel it because he was so close on that one. And the very next play on 3rd and 3. Like I said, Bosa got some pressure on McCoy, but Drake Jackson put his hands up, and it looked like he did tip that pass, and that forced an incompletion. It was a screen pass attempt to James Conner. So credit to Drake Jackson for always being aggressive, always putting his hands up. And quite frankly, even if it were caught by Conner, Drake Greenlaw was all over it, so I don't think it would have even mattered. But the 49ers defense, they were able to force a punt. They're doing their thing, early in this game to limit the Cardinals. And so, again, at this point, it was time for the 49ers offense to sustain a drive, any drive at this point, to get the defense some rest because at that point in the game, they hadn't really done much. So the 49ers, with a little over 2 minutes left in the first quarter, they run into a quick 3 and 6. And the Cardinals bring a blitz, but Jimmy Garoppolo was able to find George Kittle to the outside right by the sticks for a first down. That was one of many 3rd down conversions for the 49ers and for Jimmy Garoppolo, who I thought played a really great game today. And then a Cardinals face mask penalty gave the 49ers 15 yards and a first down. And the 49ers decided to throw it on the next play. Jimmy to Debo in stride for another first down. And then so they're really starting to move the ball at this point. Christian McCaffrey, he got free for a very nice gain with blockers in front of him. And on 3rd and 5 on the 7-yard line, on the Cardinals 7-yard line in the red zone, Jimmy Garoppolo with a beautiful throw to Brandon Ayuk. And nice job by Jimmy going through his progressions. It looked, they said it on the broadcast, it looked like Christian McCaffrey was his first read there, wasn't there. And he's able to, look through all his progressions and finally find Ayuk. And Ayuk completely cooked his man. So I'm glad he was able to find him and get that touchdown. So the 49ers went up 7-3, and they got the defense some valuable rest. I mean, it wasn't a lot of rest, like I said, but any rest is good, right? So it was 4 minutes to travel 67 yards for the 49ers offense on that one. And so now it's the second quarter. The Cardinals get the ball. It's 3rd and 7. DeAndre Hopkins first down, and he got called for taunting. So they actually end up, I think, losing some yardage on that one because I think taunting's like 15. Is that a 15-yard penalty? I don't know. I thought it's ridiculous, right? Like taunting is not my favorite rule in the book for the NFL, but it favored the 49ers on that one. And then later that drive, McCoy with the pocket collapsing, he tried to get the ball to James Conner, but it was a bit too high, tipped, and into the hands of Jimmy Ward for the interception. And the defense, they were able to give themselves a pat on the back and give themselves some well-deserved rest because, like I said, they didn't have a lot of rest in the first quarter, but they're able to make a play, and they definitely deserved some rest after that. And so really it's up to the 49ers to continue to keep the momentum going after they had scored the previous drive. So they start the drive on on Arizona's 46th because it was a turnover. They got good field position. And so they start the drive with a throw, which, was kind of working well for them today. I know usually Kyle Shanahan likes to run the ball on first downs, but he kind of went opposite Kyle today, and it worked out in his favor. On that play, they gained 7 yards on a pass to George Kittle. And then on 2nd and 3, Jimmy Garoppolo finds an open lane to step up. It looks like he might take off, so defenders came up, and he finds George Kittle open, and Kittle takes it to the house. 49ers go up 14-3. That was a great play by Jimmy Garoppolo to find Kittle there and keep his eyes up. One thing I tweeted was that, bad Jimmy or, decent Jimmy would have probably thrown the check down to Christian McCaffrey because Christian McCaffrey was right there just short of the sticks. He could have probably gotten the first down. But the difference between a first down and, a touchdown is huge, right? And I feel like I've knocked Jimmy on similar plays in the past where, yes, he gets the first down, a short yardage first down, but he misses a big potential touchdown, and he was able to find the touchdown on that one. So I definitely have to give him his props. Like I said, I thought he played a great game, and that's one of the key plays in this game that really stood out to me and, still does after watching the entire thing. That's one of the plays that I think kind of defined Jimmy Garoppolo's performance today. But anyway, the Cardinals with 8 minutes 40 in the second quarter, T.Y. McGill and the defensive line get pressure on a screen, and that nearly resulted in an interception. So they were getting pressure on Colt McCoy. Pretty decent amount, and I was pretty pleased with that. Then on 3rd and 6, Nick Bosa committed the offsides. It was a free play. Fred Warner missed the tackle on Greg Dortch, and then he made a few other guys miss, and Greg Dortch takes it 40 yards, and the Cardinals get into the red zone. So not great. I mean, on 3rd and 6, Nick Bosa committing a penalty, and for it to be a free play where you give up 40 yards, ooh, not good. Probably the worst play of the game for the 49ers defense. Didn't affect them too much in the end, right? But that's a great example of what not to do on 3rd downs. The Cardinals, they did cap that drive with a James Conner touchdown, their only touchdown of the day, and the Cardinals make it 14-10. So still a pretty close game in the beginning there. But the 49ers get the ball with a little over 4 minutes left in the half, and that's perfect for them because that's enough time for them to, work the rest of the clock before the halftime and hopefully score before halftime. They get the ball back after halftime. So perfect scenario for the 49ers, and they start the drive throwing once again. Jimmy Garoppolo to Deebo Samuel in stride with a huge and Deebo got a good shove on Budda Baker there as well, which I know a lot of people were happy about. So Deebo just doing Deebo things as always. But the 49ers moving the ball on that drive as well. Christian McCaffrey screen. He got a catch, another catch. Elijah Mitchell actually got his first carry of the game in this drive with 2 minutes left in the first half. That was a little surprising. I thought maybe they would do more of a split where, McCaffrey would get a few carries and then Mitchell would get a few carries or plays and whatnot. But it was actually Christian McCaffrey more so for the first half, and not even a lot of carries for Christian McCaffrey in the first half. It was mostly, pass plays, little bit of carries, but, they like to use them all over the place. And Elijah Mitchell, of course, getting a lot of action in the second half. But before that run from Mitchell, the 49ers had attempted 9 straight passes in which Jimmy Garoppolo was 7 of 9, 498 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Look, I said it in my preview episode, the offense preview episode, that I felt this was going to be a Jimmy Garoppolo game because the Arizona Cardinals are a little more vulnerable to the pass than to the run. So it really set up perfectly for a good Jimmy game. And boy, did he deliver. He was very efficient today. And then on this drive, 3rd and 6, a pass to Christian McCaffrey for the first down. But the offense can't get a few plays going, and the drive kind of stalled. And so the 49ers kind of had to settle for a field goal, which is fine. Gold was able to hit the field goal and push the lead up to 7 before halftime. And so the Cardinals got the ball back with 43 seconds left in the first half. Nick Bosa got his sack of the day. That makes 10.5 on the season. He is second in the NFL behind Judon. I believe Judon has 13, so quite a ways to go to, beat him. But keep in mind, Nick Bosa did also miss a game. So, I think we all agree here that Bosa deserves to be in the DPOY discussion, but that's a discussion for another day. So the 49ers go into halftime 17-10. And like I said, they got the ball after the half as well. So let's talk about that play after the half. Let me go to some comments really quickly, though. RJ says, Kyle was in his bag like I hope he would. What a performance by the 49ers, especially the offense. Yes, absolutely. The offense played exactly how you would have hoped and expected them to play. And so it's really kind of invigorating as a fan to actually see it all come together, because I feel like this is a long time coming. Obviously, the first half of the season, was happened like it did, where it was very slow. The offense not able to get much going. But, in these last few games, especially the last 2 wins prior to this game against the Rams and the Chargers, you can kind of feel that the offense was starting to get things going. And so it really felt like in this game they were able to put it all together. And hopefully this is the beginning of one big stride that the 49ers are taking in the right direction. It certainly feels that way. So the 49ers have now won 3 in a row. But let's talk about the second half, all right? So the 49ers got the ball to start the second half. And that drive, Jimmy Garoppolo got his QB sneak of the day. That is the most elite QB sneak in the entire NFL. He was able to convert on 3rd and 1. And then Elijah Mitchell, who got a lot more action in the second half. He got the first down, stayed upright on 2nd and 6. Breaks off another run for 9 yards. It kind of seemed like Elijah Mitchell is kind of like the closer, right? Like, I don't know if you guys felt that way too, but to me, it looked like, okay, we kind of ran them down in the first half. Now let's really impose our will. Let's really be bullies in the second half. Bully ball, baby. That's what they call it. Elijah Mitchell, the perfect running back to kind of just take the will from a defense. And that's kind of what I felt they did in the second half to the Cardinals defense. So on that drive, 49ers on one specific play, the Deebo Samuel touchdown, a lot of misdirection. They get the entire Cardinals defense moving to the right, but Deebo got the ball and went to the left with blockers out in front of him. Beautiful play design. And Deebo Samuel hits his second gear. And like I say, when Deebo Samuel hits that second gear, he's virtually unstoppable. And he was able to get 39 yards and the touchdown on that one. And so the 49ers went up 24-10. And like I said, to get the ball before halftime, then after halftime, they were able to double dip on points. It was a perfect scenario where they were able to go from 14-10 to pretty much, 17-10 to pretty much 24-10, in less than a quarter's time. Cardinals on their following drive, Jimmy Ward looked to have tweaked something on that drive, and he did go to the locker room, something to keep an eye on. If you guys in the comments or watching have any updates on that, I haven't checked my phone yet, but if you guys have seen anything, Kyle has mentioned anything about Jimmy Ward, let me know in the comments. Oh, wow. 49ers. Okay, so Kyle Shanahan, I guess, said no injuries tonight. So I guess, I don't know what happened to Jimmy Ward, but he exited the game. I don't believe he came back. But I guess Kyle Shanahan said after the game, no injuries. So it must have been cramps. I know Deebo Samuel dealt with some cramps throughout the game as well. I mean, that tends to happen when, you're in high elevation. So good news on that front. I know Dre Greenlaw as well. Looked like he might have hurt his wrist. I don't think he went back into the game after that because it was already fourth quarter and the game was wrapped up. So, but that it's so good to know that both of those injuries were pretty much nothing. The 49ers are on the better side of injury news these days. And that to me is amazing because if they're going to make a run and hope to make a deep playoff run, you're going to need to stay healthy. They have so much talent on this roster that, in the first half of the season, they weren't really able to put it all together on the field at the same time because of all the injuries. And, there are some guys on IR, but for the most part, most of their team is healthy. So it's good that so far it's staying that way. Knock on wood. But great news that Jimmy Ward is fine. Samuel Womack did take over at nickel, which I thought he played pretty well. He did end up having an interception there towards the end. So on that drive, though, the Cardinals go forward on 4th and 3 at the 49ers 41-yard line, but it's incomplete to Greg Dortch. Looked like some miscommunication on that part. I don't know. I don't care. The 49ers offense take over with great field position. They continue their domination. And the 49ers, their following play, they actually went on a quick 3-and-out. Drive was pretty much defined by an early penalty that derailed the flow of that one. And Garoppolo did throw a dart on 3rd down, I must say. It was a very nice anticipation throw to Brandon Ayuk, but Ayuk slipped, so it ended up being incomplete. And so the 49ers did punt on that one. Another good punt by Wisnowski, though, I must say. Cardinals start their drive on their own 12-yard line. So again, Wisnowski, special teams, doing work today. The Cardinals, on their following drive, Kevin Givens breaks free for a quick sack. That was so fast. That was like DJ Jones speed sack right there. And that put the Cardinals back 7 yards. And that pretty much helped force a 3-and-out because it was hard for them to get anything going after that and dig themselves out of that hole. So the 49ers get the ball back with 5 minutes left in the third quarter. And they really looked to impose their will on this drive with several runs from Elijah Mitchell, who, like I said, he looks like this team's bully ball running back. On 2nd and 11, Jimmy with a beautiful pass to Christian McCaffrey for 12 yards. 49ers get to the red zone. And when you're in the red zone, watch out for Brandon Ayuk because he can get open against anyone. I am convinced. He gets his second catch of the day, his second touchdown of the day. His only 2 catches today were touchdowns. The 49ers go up 31-10, up 21 points at this point. And so the Cardinals, they're gasping for air at this point, figuratively and probably literally as well. But Nick Bosa helping him out a little bit again. His second penalty of the night, a little rare for him, I guess. This time it was roughing the passer, gave the Cardinals some extra yards. I don't fault him too much for that because he was like, he kind of ran into Colt McCoy like after McCoy had passed it. Like he ran into him inadvertently, so I don't blame Bosa too much for that one. And like I said, the 49ers are up 21, so who cares? But anyway, the following play, Talanoa Hufanga came in on a blitz. He forced McCoy out of the pocket, and Fred Warner, he wasn't going to let him go. He wasn't just going to let him, get out of the pocket and throw a pass. No, Fred Warner, with some nice hustle, he was able to get the sack on Colt McCoy. And then the Cardinals, of course, going forward on 4th down, plenty now here. Dre Greenlaw got his hands on it, tipped the McCoy pass up in the air, and the 49ers take over on downs, as was kind of the story for the Cardinals today. But the 49ers, they don't let up. They continue to move the ball. They continue to impose their will, and that drive was capped by a George Kittle touchdown, his second of the day, the 49ers' last of the day. Trace McSorley, the Cardinals' backup quarterback, finished the game. The 49ers were so dominant that even Brock Purdy and Jordan Mason got some run before the game was over. So I know all the Jordan Mason fans have been waiting for this moment all season. You finally got it. We got to see Jordan Mason, and he had some nice runs there where he was hard to bring down. So that was a nice little tree after the 49ers pretty much sealed the game at 38-10. That was the final score. Jimmy Garoppolo finished 20 of 29 for 228 yards and 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. No interceptions. That's impressive. You want to know why? Because that was his first time in his career that he's gone 3 consecutive games without throwing an interception. Before today, he had not gone more than 2 games without throwing an interception. So today he broke that streak. He's now gone 3 consecutive games. Let's see how long he could keep this going, because I love Jimmy right now. Like, I love Jimmy when he's good. So I love him right now. And even I didn't think he was going to be able to break that streak ever, because it's been going on his whole career. So credit to Jimmy Garoppolo for how he played today. And also, I got to give credit to the offensive line today, because they played an incredible game. The Cardinals pressured Jimmy Garoppolo on just 5 of his 29 dropbacks. That's 17% of his dropbacks. And that's the lowest rate of the season. So maybe it was a little bit of the Cardinals, not just defensive line not being that good, but I'm going to say it was the 49ers offensive line just blocking incredibly well today. And of course, not just on the passing downs, but if you guys saw some of those run plays, there was some beautiful blocking happening on those. So credit to the offensive line. For all the talk we were doing about Mike McGlinchey and, you know, how terrible he looked the last couple of games, I didn't hear Mike McGlinchey's name today, so I think that's pretty good. And of course, that's also good given the fact that he was going up against J.J. Watt a lot of the time. So, hey, credit to Mike McGlinchey today. He can tweet out "still here" if he wants to tomorrow morning. But anyway, Jimmy Garoppolo, like I said, he was phenomenal today. The 49ers converted 54% of their third downs. Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey continued their timeshare. Mitchell had 9 carries for 59 yards. That's good for a 6.6 yard per carry average. And he finished as the 49ers leading rusher, actually. McCaffrey had 7 carries for 39 yards, 5.6 yards per carry average. But we know that McCaffrey's carries aren't all that define him, right? Like, he's so much more than just a running back. He also contributes as a receiver. He was he had 7 receptions for 67 yards. So he had a huge part in the passing game as well. And as we know, he's a great outlet for Jimmy Garoppolo, very reliable for him. Brandon Ayuk finished with 2 touchdowns. As I mentioned, his 2 catches were touchdowns. He had 20 total yards. So that kind of broke his streak of, you know, he had the 4 games in a row with at least, was it 6 catches for 80 or more yards. So, but that's okay. I'll take the 2 touchdowns from Brandon Ayuk. And Debo also had 94 total yards, and he had the 1 rushing touchdown. This was just an all-out performance from everyone. Like, everyone contributed in this game, and it's so great and refreshing to see, because we know how much talent this team has on offense. And in this game, we were just able to see it all, everyone in their full glory. And we know how talented this team is, how scary they can be when they're clicking on all cylinders. And in this game, it certainly looked like they were clicking. So the 49ers, with this win, like I said, this was a huge game. Okay, had a lot of implications. With this win, they have reclaimed first place in the NFC West. They jumped to 3rd in the NFC playoff seeding. And like I said before, Kyle Shanahan got his first all-time winning record as head coach of the 49ers. He is now 49-48 as head coach of the 49ers, and that's great. The other good news, as I mentioned, no injuries, no new injuries for the 49ers. Jimmy Ward left the game. Dre Greenlaw left the game at one point, but Kyle Shanahan said there's no new injuries to report. So they have avoided disaster there with those two guys, obviously important to the defense. And the 49ers win. They embarrass the Cardinals on prime time. We love to see it. They continue to have an undefeated record against division opponents this season, and they will look to keep that going when they play the Seahawks next, December 15th. They have one more game against the Cardinals at the end of the season, their last game of the regular season. And I can't imagine the Cardinals are going to figure anything out, within that time frame. So I feel pretty good about the 49ers going undefeated this season against the NFC West, but we'll just have to wait and see. Next week, the 49ers play the Saints. The Saints are somewhat in shambles as well, so it's a great opportunity for the 49ers to keep their momentum going. Like I said, this is their third win in a row. Great potential to go 4 wins in a row for this team. And yeah, it feels great, baby. What an amazing game from this team. I expected nothing less. In fact, I would have been disappointed if they didn't look this way on Monday Night Football just because of, like I said, the Cardinals were in shambles. The offense they were starting to click before this game, and now they're like a bowling ball going down a hill. Like, that's how scary they are. And as I mentioned in my preview episode earlier, a lot of these NFC teams are starting to kind of not look as great as they did in the first half of the season, but look who's gaining momentum, the 49ers. The Eagles only won by 1 point against the Colts. The Vikings lost embarrassingly to the Cowboys. So there's some pretenders, I think, in the NFC that I'm starting to feel like the 49ers would be able to take them on and beat them if they were to play. They don't have to beat them right now, though. There's a lot of season left, but I like the way this season is going so far. It seems to be heading in the right direction. Credit to Jimmy Garoppolo for looking as good as he did in this game, and he's been great for much of the season. He hasn't looked bad to me since the Broncos game. I feel like that was his worst game of the season, and really since then, he has not been the problem. And so I'm very happy with what this offense put out today. My big question was, could they score points? Yes, they can have drives going, but can they actually score touchdowns? And they did today. They answered that question. Yes, it is against the Cardinals, but this is a good step in the right direction. You have to be able to beat the bad teams to be a good team. So, step in the right direction. 49ers beat the Cardinals on Monday Night Football 38-10. All right, guys, that's enough of me and talking about the 49ers tonight. I'll keep talking about the 49ers on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me there at Steph49K. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. Make sure you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. We are in a good mood. So make sure you spread that love around to this video. I appreciate all the love. Have a good rest of your night. Peace.